Well, we are live, pals. Welcome to another edition of the Bill Apter Sealed of Approved, counted out with Mike and Tyler. My name is Tyler, and as always, I am joined by the one and only Mojito Mike. Mike, how the hell are you, buddy?
I'm going to try not to talk too loud for you today, buddy. I know your head must be pounding. You got a little fun last night.
So as we record this, as you guys know, we record on Monday evenings. So we did our SummerSlam Instagram live show, our annual Big Four live shows that we do, and I think I was there, and I'm pretty sure my list was good. But as soon as you jumped on, an hour late, mind you, I don't remember really much about it. So big thanks to Adam for carrying the load there, helping me get through my Bret Hart list, and also big thanks to Rory Fox jumping on the call live on the road, heading back from St. Louis for a shot he made this weekend. I got to go back and listen to what the hell we talked about too.
Yeah, for what I was on, it was fun. You were something else. I think we're starting to trade off. Last year I got pretty shittered during our SummerSlam show. This year you got nice and fucking shittered for this year's SummerSlam show. So yeah. I guess it's back to my turn next year.
At WrestleMania, we both got shittered.
Fuck, we must have, because I don't remember it at all.
Yeah. I remember you passed out in the middle of the show.
Shut up.
I'm serious. You told me you said, I'll be right back. I got to go do something. And you fell asleep.
Passed out on the can.
You fell asleep taking a dump in the middle of our WrestleMania show. And me and Rob just shot the shit forever.
Yeah.
Count It Out knows how to do it, man. Head over to the Instagram page at Count It Out 7. Check out all the fun. We had some great collaborations on there with some other podcasts. We had Steve Bourne from the E8 podcast on there. Always gives great insight. We had a fun little three-way chat with Anthony from the Titantron, Nick from the Universal podcast, and James from that 90s wrestling podcast.
So that would be called a four-way because you're number 4.
Well, you know, math is.
I know it's hard for you
today. Tyler is tired. Also, while we're talking about James, I want to give a big shout out. He this week he launched episode 1 of Cafe de Rene. Him and Rene Dupree doing a podcast together. So make sure you guys go check that out.
Yeah, good for James, man. That's really cool for him.
And as Mike has mentioned, he mentioned last night on our live show, we're not going to say anything more than keep your eye to Count It Out's YouTube page, because we're going to be adding a new show to the channel shortly. Mm-hmm. And Mike, I haven't even told you this, but there might be a second new show added as well. We'll talk about that off air.
Well, and for all we know, a third new show.
Well, there we go. Right, Adam I think Adam's got the itch. We're hoping.
We're gonna get
Adam.
We're gonna get Adam on.
I want Adam on the team so bad.
We're gonna get him on. Speaking of last night, listen, guys, if you really want to know our thoughts on SummerSlam, go to Instagram and check out last night's live show. The replay is right there on Instagram. If you want to know what we think about CM Punk and his big return and all the big returns from this weekend, go to our Instagram page and check that out. It's all there. So we're not gonna bother repeating it all right here. Go to Instagram, check that out.
Yes, exactly. And I'm gonna have to do the same thing to know what your take is, Mike, because I don't remember what your take is on any of it. So fantastic stuff. God bless the internet.
But it's not like we're gonna do a super short show today, because we're doing 2 lists today, buddy.
Yeah, and you know what? Depending on how long it runs, maybe I'll throw the Bret Hart list at the end of this too, depending on how long we run. Who knows?
You want to do it for a third time?
No, I mean, like, I'll just put the live show one up. It's only like
okay. I was gonna say, because I don't know if you remember doing it twice yesterday.
I did it with Rory Fox apparently too. Who knows? Who knew, man? Who knew? I hope I did a good job. I don't know. I think my list was bang on. Who knows? Depending on how long you and I go today, because we're not going to talk any news. We're going to jump in the list. Maybe we'll throw a little bonus third list up there for you guys.
I'll tell you right now that I guarantee you, Rory Fox did not sell your number 7 the way that Adam did.
No, he did not. Yeah. You know what? Let's get into our list today, because I'm going to throw the Bret Hart list on as a bonus in this week's episode.
So our list today, we're doing a double list today. We're doing something kind of fun. Tyler and I have both compiled a list of our current favorite wrestlers on the scene today,
Mhm.
and they can be. Let me specify: male wrestlers.
Yeah, we're
going
doing
to
just males.
we're going to do a female list on another time. So we're just doing males, but it could be from any promotion. They must be active. So I already told Tyler that he can't say CM Punk because CM Punk hasn't wrestled yet.
No, so
So
I can't have Punk or Bryan on my list,
exactly, they're not active wrestlers at the current moment.
but they would be on my list.
Tag teams count as one. And yeah, it's pretty much the criteria and the rules of the list. Everything else is a gong show, man.
Right.
So who wants to go first, man?
So we're gonna go. We're each gonna do 1 and 1. So you're 7, and then my 7. So
yeah,
you know what? You came up with this idea. Why don't you start us off with your number 7?
All right, man. My number 7.
Wait, sorry. Before you do that, without giving away too much of your list, if you're taking a look at your list, how widespread are we talking here? This is gonna really show, I think, we're what we're watching and what our favoritisms are. Like,
I can tell you right now that out of 7 wrestlers, I'm talking about 4 different promotions today.
I think I'm in the same boat as you, actually.
I should mention this too. This is very specifically our favorites list, not a who we consider to be the best. Okay,
yeah,
that would be very this is what we are enjoying watching: the characters, the build, the stories, and of course their personal talent. But it's not who we think are the best wrestlers in the world right now. That would be a very different list. This is our personal favorite wrestlers on the scene right now.
Yeah.
Right. So let's start this off, man. My number 7 is the man who just this past Saturday won himself a chance to at a title shot at the Ring of Honor Championship by beating Matt Taven in a cage match. My number 7 favorite wrestler right now is Vincent.
Okay. Run me about a little bit about what Vincent's doing. Do you think he's the right guy to go for a title shot right now against Bandito?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I was rooting for Taven. I really like Taven, and I think that Taven in the title picture is a better spot for Taven. I don't think Vincent needs it, but doesn't take away from Vincent's character, personality, or talent. Vincent's been a big favorite of mine now for the last 2 years since he defected from the Kingdom. When he turned his back on Matt Taven in 2019, split Matt Taven's head open with a fucking axe, just changed his character completely. Went from being known as Vinny Marcella to Vincent, this Charles Manson-esque wacko hippie cult leader. Started this faction now called the Righteous, and is just one of the most interesting characters in ROH for the last 2 years, especially since the pandemic. When ROH came back after their pandemic break, one of the very first episodes was Vincent coming out and doing all his stuff, and then Matt Taven making his return. And since then, it's been one of my absolute favorite stories they've been doing. It's been almost a year now. And you know, this feud is 2 years in the making. They had what very well could be their blow-off match this past Saturday, where Vincent beat Taven in a steel cage. I'm not 100% sold.
Choice. I think that was the right choice.
It was the right choice to. It's the right choice for him to beat for Vincent to win the blow-off. I'm not sold that he should be in the title picture, but I'm not sold that he shouldn't either.
But you know what, though? He's a good early contender for Bandito. Like, no one thinks Bandito is going to lose the belt this soon, but he's a great, believable character. Yeah, I don't get to see a lot of what Vincent does. Ring of Honor is, I still try to follow it. I watch as many clips of it as I can. So I haven't seen as much of Vincent as you have, but everything I have seen, I've thoroughly enjoyed.
Yeah, he's very entertaining. Which brings me to my number 6.
No, I want to do my number 7.
You told me we're doing one list and another list.
No, 1 and 1, 7 and 7.
That's not what you told me off the line.
That's what I tried to tell you. Maybe I'm still drunk.
You're not that smart. All right, let's go. Okay, let's do this. What's your number 7? Let me do
my number 7. I want to go 1 and 1 with you. I think it's fun.
All right. Okay.
My number 7, I am going to AEW, and I'm going with Jurassic Express. More so Jungle Boy.
You're going with all 3 men.
I'm gonna go with the faction. You know what I mean?
Okay,
but
okay.
I everything about
I'm
these guys is clicking for me right now.
Listen, I'm with you. The reason none of these men made my list is because I don't watch enough of the product. Okay. I couldn't put them over the guys on my lists because at least I watch these products and I watch these matches. But what I've seen of these three men, I love. Yeah. I have been following Marco's career, pretty much his entire career. I've been following Jungle Boy pretty much his entire career. Both men come from, GCW, BLP, that background, the indie stuff that I enjoy. So I've been following them for a long time. Luchasaurus, I vaguely remember from Lucha Underground. I remember some of his stuff, but it's not like he was in my mind until AEW.
I actually remember him from Ring of Honor.
I see, and I don't remember him from Ring of Honor. I was gonna say you probably remember Big Brother.
I do remember. I did not watch Big Brother at that time, although there is a great clip of Matt Jackson and his wife in the crowd of Big Brother on the season that he was on. Believe it or not.
But this is a good pick. I'm enjoying this as your number 7. To talk about the three together, man. Are you still buying these three as a good faction?
1,000% I am. So for me, it starts right at the beginning when they do their. I actually like how the three of them came together. When they and I don't know if even know how they got Marco in the group, but on the Being the Elite show that they do on YouTube. Marco was getting bullied after he got signed. All the roster is bullying him, and Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus walked by him and were like, "Hey, man, you come with us, okay? We respect you. You come with us." And they kind of came to his aid, which I really liked. You know what I mean? But now they're firing all cylinders. Ever since that they've got that Tarzan Boy theme song going, it has brought them to an even bigger level. Jungle Boy over the last couple of years in AEW has been one of the best breakout stars that they've had. Great feuds with Jericho, great feud with Kenny Omega, great matches he just had with Kenny Omega recently. He's paired up with Christian Cage right now, which is nice, there could be a potential feud or match down the road there. They're just so over the theme song. I know you and I disagree on this, but I think that Marco stunt his role is perfect for what it is in AEW.
I think it's okay now, but I think they need to it's got to evolve in the future. And that was going to be my next point. I see all three men deserving of gold. I can see Luchasaurus becoming champion at any point in time.
I would like to see the tag team gold get on these guys.
I can see Jungle Boy being TNT champion before the end of the year.
Yeah, I would like to see Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus get the tag team gold. Or I would like to see Luchasaurus kind of spin off and have a little program with Miro for the TNT title.
That'd be cool.
I think they'd have great matches.
I would like to see two things in AEW. Either they introduce a mid card championship, like a cruiserweight title, lightweight title, even something to mirror the X division in TNA. Kind of give Marco a platform. You know what I mean? That would be fantastic. Or a trios championship.
I could see them. I know they've talked about doing a trios championship, so I could see that happening over the other title for sure. But yeah, man,
I'd be good on either or.
For me, like the Jurassic Express is exactly what I love about AEW. One of the things I love about AEW, because there are things I don't love about AEW, much like Raw and SmackDown, whatever. But I just love the Rocky Horror Picture Show feeling of this. When that music hits, the whole arena's, going crazy. Marco's waving his hands around. Luchasaurus is looking crazy. Like, they have this aura and presence to them. They're fun. They deliver in the ring. They're doing it for me right now. Big fan of Jurassic Express.
Fantastic. I'm with you. My number 6. Well, let's go back to my number 7 for a minute. My number 7 is possibly the man who could be the next ROH champion, while my number 6 is a former ROH champion. And unfortunately, I think I personally slept on his championship run. I wasn't a huge fan of him when he was champion, but for the last 2 to 3 years, he has been right there in front of my face as one of the greatest characters in wrestling today. And I'm talking about Dalton Castle.
Okay. All right.
I love Dalton Castle, man. I love everything he's doing. He makes television both fun and interesting, no matter if he's wrestling or if he's on commentary or if he's accompanying someone to the ring. He has been making Dak Draper worth watching. He's been really upping the game of other people around him. It's fantastic. Everything he does right now is great, and this goes back. I really started to notice him back in 18 again. And, everything with the boys and the Peacock, the entrance. He's probably got one of my favorite entrances in wrestling today. One of my favorite theme songs in wrestling today. It's very unfortunate that other than the two last pay-per-views, there's been no crowds in ROH because Dalton deserves a crowd. Okay. Dalton deserves those people clapping with him. Like, you know what I mean? I was lucky enough to see Dalton perform in 2019, and he's just enigmatic. He draws you in, whether he's a heel or a face, it doesn't matter.
He's got an
you're drawn to this character.
He's got an it factor. Really
does.
Absolutely. And I think people sleep on how good he is in the ring because of 100%. His character so much, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
People get lost in that. I don't have a problem with this. He's not on my list, but it's not because I don't respect him or enjoy his work. I just enjoy other people a little bit more.
And if anybody wants to know how exactly how funny he is, check out his interview with Kevin X on the ROH Strong podcast. Because it's only like 20 minutes long, because usually their podcasts are like an hour long, and Dalton Castle decided he was too busy and he just left. But he's so fucking funny, man. He's always on. You know what I mean? He's that guy who's you don't even know if it's a gimmick anymore. Like, he's just always on.
All right. My number 6, I'm going to stick with Ring of Honor, actually. And this is these are people that I know are going to be on your list lower. But for me, this is where I put them, just because I don't get to watch enough of the product to put them higher. But I'm going with the Foundation.
You're going with the entire Foundation. Okay. See, you're doing things that I didn't even consider doing. When I said tag teams could be one, I never thought of factions.
Okay, well then, if you want me to be more specific, I'll go Jonathan Gresham or Jay Lethal.
I'm fine with the Foundation, man. I just never thought of doing it. We'll get to that on my list later on.
Yeah, I'll just say real quick for me, and I know I want you to kind of talk about them in more detail, because I know they're going to be on your list. But for me, Jonathan Gresham in particular, and then Jay Lethal as well, and even Rhett Titus, I think, is fantastic as well.
Yes, he is.
All of them are. Was it
Hot Sauce Tracy Williams is one that you're missing as well? Yeah,
they're all firing, but Jonathan Gresham, especially right now, is what pro wrestling is.
Let me tell you something
don't like
special.
Pro wrestling, you don't like Jonathan Gresham, then you're not a wrestling fan, and you can fuck off out of the show.
Couldn't agree with you more. And one of the special things about the Foundation is it's one of those stables where there is no leader. Mm-hmm. Nobody's trying to be the leader.
I like
that. They're one unit together. They wrestle each other on a regular basis, and it never gets in the way of business.
Yeah, I like that.
The one thing I love about it too is Jay Lethal. With Jay Lethal's history with both ROH and in professional wrestling, he could easily just say, "Yeah, I'm the leader. It's me," but he doesn't. You know, he's very willing to let the other three guys take that spotlight. Jay's been really stepping it back in the last year or so, and
he's
it's
been doing
okay
that for the good of that group.
He's doing it for the good of those three men, and it's been working because it doesn't hurt Jay at all, but it really helps the other three. Tracy Williams, other than his big showing in the Pure tournament, he hasn't done a whole lot that stuck out to me.
Tag team champion, wasn't he?
Yes, he was, but
did he not also have a cup of coffee with the TV title?
I noticed Rhett Titus a lot more.
Yeah.
That's all I'm getting at.
But did Tracy not win? Now maybe I'm mixing him up with somebody else, but did Tracy not win the TV title and the tag title at the same time? So he had a cup of coffee.
Yes, you are correct.
So look at me, Ring of Honor knowledge.
Look at you.
Raise the roof. Let's go.
I will because my
oh boy,
that's not a good thing at all.
I'm not adding that out. We're gonna let that go. We're live. Does that mean, Gene? Fuck it.
I'm going to continue this discussion a little later down the list. How's that? How's that?
All right.
But good call. I'm glad to hear that, to see them on your list. My number 5. I'm still fighting whether or not I'm switching these around. No, I'm going for it. My number 5 is the head of the table.
All right.
My number 5 is the Universal Champion, Roman Reigns.
Okay. I'll tell you what. Much like you with the foundation in a little bit. Maybe wait a minute on this one in a little bit as well.
Okay.
How about that?
Yeah, well, we can talk about it when we reach it on your list. Obviously, it's on your list.
So I'll tell you what then. Let me do my next 2 here, and it'll make a lot of sense then, okay?
Sure. Go for it.
My number 5, and I went back and forth with Roman in this spot as well, but my number 5 is Jon Moxley. I don't know what it is about. I was never a big Dean Ambrose fan. I like Dean Ambrose, like he was fine, but I was never like, that's my guy. Like I love Dean Ambrose, but there's something about Jon Moxley lately that I find very special. His promos have been amazing. His in-ring work has been amazing. I love that he's got the Wild Thing theme song, the one that they use in the Major League movies from Ricky Vaughn. Like, cause that's one of my favorite movies of all time. So I'm popping huge for that now. His pairing with Eddie Kingston has been great. He just feels like a wild card right now. To me, he feels like something that's totally different compared to everything else in pro wrestling. He's like a tame version of Nick Cage. He's like the mainstream version of Nick Gage. You know what I mean? Because he's on the big stage. He can't do the shit that Gage does, obviously, on the big stage. But I don't like the comparison to Stone Cold Steve Austin because there will never be a Stone Cold Steve Austin. But he does have that rebellious feel that Austin had. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think him and Kingston have been great together. They're pro but Moxley's promo work lately, especially the last month, has just been. I believe what he's saying.
His promos have been on point.
Yeah,
I will give you that.
I believe in what Jon Moxley is saying.
Every time he cuts a promo, that promo he cut a couple of weeks ago on Dynamite, where he basically called out New Japan.
Yeah,
and said, you know what, fuck you. You know,
I love it.
I'm going to do my own thing. Yeah, I love everything he's been doing. You know, it'd be fantastic because you brought up the movie. I'd love at one point for like Eddie Kingston to be mad at somebody or something like that, and Jon Moxley just to be like, want me to drag him out of here, beat the shit out of him?
If anybody has not watched the movie Major League, as soon as this podcast is done, don't you fucking dare stop this podcast, or we'll drag you outside and kick the shit out of you. Go and watch Major League. It is so good. It is so good. Oh, fuck. So let me piggyback this onto my number 4 then, because my number 4 and your number 5 are the same. The head of the table, Roman Reigns.
Okay.
And I went back and forth with him and Moxley as well, but Roman's just too good right now.
It's funny because I was fighting. So he was also almost my number 4 as well. I'm happy where I am. I'm happy with him at my number 5. But let's talk about the last year that this man has had. He went from being one of the most hated baby faces in the history of the company to being the most hated heel in the company for the right reasons.
And now he's getting cheered too.
He is. His heel run is almost flawless. Between everything that he's done, to the addition of Paul Heyman, to the addition of the Usos, it's been such a good ride. It's one of the only things keeping me paying attention to the WWE product right now.
he is one of the best things in professional wrestling right now.
100%.
He's delivering on the mic. He's delivering in the ring. He's got this badass aura around him, but still looks vulnerable sometimes, that's a fine line that he walks. You know what I mean? And he's walking it perfectly. He's showing, and I love this because I love how everybody always shits on Vince in the WWE, right? Oh, Roman, fuck Roman. We want Punk. We want Bryan. We want this guy. We want this guy. Well, guess what? Now all you motherfuckers are into Roman. It's what Vince saw that you never saw. Vince just wasn't doing it the right way yet. But Vince proved all you internet smart marks wrong.
100%. 100%. And then people, and this makes people say, well, maybe we'd love Cena too if you turn him face too, or Tina turn him heel too. Who knows? Who cares?
Who gives a fuck?
That's not what we got. This is
Cena's
what we
been
got.
on top for 12 years. Everyone else can fuck off.
Yeah, exactly. And not to mention the fact, let's be honest, man, Roman had what I consider to be the second best match at SummerSlam this year.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question.
Was flat out fantastic.
I know I talked about this on the Universal podcast I did with Nick a couple weeks ago over on their great show that they do. Who do you think first? How long do you think Roman should be the champion for, and who do you think should beat him for that championship? Because I think it's going to mean something.
Roman will not be losing that championship before next WrestleMania.
I would like, and I'm really upset that they brought Brock back already for this feud with Roman. I hope that they don't pull the trigger on it because I think that they should main event the next WrestleMania, not this year's. That's coming up.
Well, oh no, because this year's coming up. The rumor is The Rock and
which is the right match.
Exactly.
I would like to see them drag this out. Come on,
but let's be honest.
Vince. Show us that you can do it.
Let's be honest. The next WrestleMania after that, you're talking WrestleMania 40. That's too far away. Brock. I don't think Brock's wrestling at that point.
You really? No, we're not at 40 yet. It would be 30, 38's coming. It would be WrestleMania 39.
Okay, fine. So still 39. Brock Lesnar will not be wrestling at WrestleMania 39.
Brock Lesnar will be wrestling as long as Vince McMahon writes him a check that's over $1 million.
Brock's done by then. But it doesn't really matter. Because that's not what we're getting anyways. We're getting them at Saudi fucking Arabia.
Has that been confirmed? Because
it has not been confirmed. It has not been confirmed, but they do. I mean, it makes sense. They are confirmed that they're going to Saudi Arabia in October.
They're going to crown the finals of the Queen of the Ring there, which is kind of weird since they hate women in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, you might as well sign Effie and put him in the fucking main event.
That would be awesome to see. He might not make it online.
But yeah, I think the Saudi Arabia move is a stupid one, but Brock does good money in Saudi Arabia, so what the fuck do I know?
Good for business, bad for publicity. Well, so far, I think I'm happy with both our lists so far. Biasly, I like my list, and I've been pretty thrilled with your list so far. Let's keep it rolling, man. What's your number 4?
So my number 4 is what I consider to be the best tag team of the last decade. I'm going with Jay and Mark, the Briscoes.
Okay, I don't have a problem with this on there.
I'm just a fan, and I understand a lot of people will be like, okay, I like them, but number 4 of your favorites? Yes. For me personally, yes. I get excited every single time either one of the Briscoes hits TV. It's part of the reason that I still love ROH. They're part of the reason why I need to watch every ROH pay-per-view. The Briscoes are exciting to me. They always have been. They always will be. One of the highlights of my life was seeing them fight the God in a ladder war live. Being there live, seeing them perform is a highlight of my fandom.
I've seen them perform live twice. I saw them fight. I saw when this was a long time ago when Mark Briscoe was hurt, but he made his return and a show in Toronto against the Age of the Fall. He was out of action for like 6 months.
But it was during that era was amazing.
Yeah, they were the best. Then I saw them a couple months later fight Kevin Steen and El Generico, which was fucking awesome.
And those were always awesome matches.
Yeah, and that was their first match that they had since the ladder war. So the roles were reversed, where Steen and Generico were champions going into that match,
right.
Which was cool.
They're just a lot of fun. Doesn't matter if they're singles going up against somebody else, if they're singles going up against each other, or if they're the 11-time tag team champions going for their 12th fucking run.
Mhm.
They're just fucking fun, and they have so many different styles they can wrestle. They can wrestle almost anybody. It's just they've just been a lot of fun. And this year alone, the stories they've been telling,
Their feud together was great.
Their feud together was so cool because it wasn't your normal "I hate you" feud. It was two brothers who they couldn't get on the same fucking page. They've been tagging together for 20 years. They need to get back on the same page. And their old man said, "Well, you know what you got to do? Fucking do it."
Yeah, and that's what I love about the Briscoes.
They went and had that fight, and Papa Briscoe was the MVP of that fucking match.
It's the same thing that you said about the Foundation when they fight each other.
Yeah, exactly. It's never about hatred, or it's usually about respect, and that doesn't work all the time. But when it works, it really works, and it just so happens to really work for the Briscoes.
There's a lot of similarities in what you just described there with the Briscoes and what my number 3 is as well.
All right, shooter.
You think you know me?
Okay.
I'm going with Edge. I'm going with Edge.
Okay.
I love Edge, man. I've been an Edge
fan. I love Edge too. And you talked to me 15 years ago, and he's on that list. Yes, he's been doing some really cool stuff for the last couple of weeks. Nothing to put him on my current list, though. So you're going to have to sell me on this one.
Well, this is 50-50 for me because that's how I feel about the Briscoes. I love the Briscoes a long time ago, but I don't think what they're doing now would put them on my current list. Okay. But because I've loved Edge for my whole life, and I'm so happy that he's back, he's on my list. Since he's come back, and again, this is a lot of nostalgia for me because Edge has always been one of my favorite wrestlers.
And he's been hitting that nostalgia button. That Gangrel or Brood entrance at SummerSlam,
fantastic shit, right?
Man, that was one of the best things I have seen in a long time. Not to mention, I said Roman and Cena had the second best match at SummerSlam. Edge and Seth had the best.
To me right now, there is nobody in professional wrestling except for maybe CM Punk right now that can captivate. Look, let me retract. There's about three or four big people that can actually tug on emotions and tell this story. And Edge is one of these guys to me. When Edge talks, it makes sense. He draws this emotion out of people that not a lot of people can do. You know what I mean? The promos that he cuts are captivating. He knows how to tell a story, and not a lot of people can do that. His in-ring work since he's been back. If you clock the time of his first, I think 3 matches back together, I think he's almost over 3 hours. Like he went crazy, man. He went the Royal Rumble. He did 45 minutes with Orton twice. Like, like he went crazy.
And man. say what you want about that match at WrestleMania.
I liked it.
No, you didn't.
The triple threat? Or the Orton match. Sorry.
The Orton match.
I hated that match.
I know you did.
Sorry. I did not like that match.
No, I was going to say what you want about that one, but for being your first real match back in 9 years, got to give it to the guy, right?
100%.
And then you go and have that match, the greatest wrestling match in the world, or whatever the hell they called it.
Yeah.
I fucking love that match.
Great match as well. But then look what he's done since he's come back, man. He won the Royal Rumble. Because he got hurt in that Orton match, right? He won the Royal Rumble, which I really wish it would have built up a little bit bigger, because that could have been a bigger story. Main evented WrestleMania in an awesome match. Fought Roman in an awesome match. Awesome match at SummerSlam. The Brood entrance. The promos and the build to that Seth Rollins match. The promos and the build to the Roman match.
And hell, let's go right back to the beginning. You say what you want about CM Punk. Edge had one of the greatest returns of all time.
I think Edge and Punk are number 1 and number 2 on those greatest returns of all time.
That and because nobody really saw it coming, of course we all had our suspicions, maybe, but you didn't know. Not like Punk. You knew Punk was going to be there. Yeah. There was nobody knew what Edge was doing. When that music hit, holy shit.
The look on his face, that moment where he was like, I can't believe I'm doing this. Can
you believe if that would have been only 2 months later, we never would have got that moment.
100. I would have been. It would have been devastating, right?
Yeah.
So did I sell you a little bit for Edge? Then I don't expect him to be on your list.
Absolutely, he's not going to be on my list, but I understand why he's on yours.
And for me, I've always loved Edge, man. He's been one of my favorite wrestlers my entire life. So I'm riding that nostalgia wave, man.
If I watched SmackDown on a religious basis, he probably would be on my list.
See, and I don't watch SmackDown either, but I make sure to find Edge's stuff every week.
And that's how I am with Roman.
Yeah, me too. I don't have time to watch five hours of WWE. Like I have to. Thank God they clip YouTube so good.
Fuck, if Nick Khan has his way, that'll just be Raw from now on.
Oh man,
did you hear what he was saying?
I heard. I don't want to talk about it. This guy, Nick Khan is this generation's Jim Herd, man. Fuck you, Nick Khan.
I think it would be beneficial for Raw to be 4 hours. The fuck are you doing to me, Khan?
Now go restructure NXT and fuck right off.
My number 3. Again, my number 2, my number 3 have been like this. I'm having a really hard time with this one. I'm going to stick with it though. My number 3 is a guy I've been watching on the indies for a long, long time. One of my favorite indie wrestlers. I've seen him several times. He's just so phenomenal. And he is the current Impact X Division champion. He is the walking weapon, Josh Alexander.
All right. Now, before you get into this, you're on your number 3 right now, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
My number 2 is the walking weapon, Josh Alexander.
Okay. He was almost my number 2. You'll understand when I get to my number 2 why he wasn't. But man, we're basically going to repeat everything we said last night, because me and Adam really had a jizz fest about Josh Alexander on the show.
Did
on
we?
The live show last night. Oh yeah,
what a treat!
We all talked about Josh last night on the live show. But
well,
Josh
for you might be rehashing this, but for me, this is all fresh.
Josh Alexander is number 1 of the greatest performers in professional wrestling right now. He is what I consider to be the second best wrestler in the world right now. And no, Kenny Omega is not the first.
According to my list.
Spoiler alert.
What? Did I do that?
That's funny. Yeah, what can we say about Josh, man? He's just, if you're not watching Josh Alexander, you're not watching professional wrestling.
Josh Alexander is why I love wrestling. He gives me those Kurt Angle, Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero vibes, Dean Malenko, you know what I mean? Like, there's something about him. When you see him, you're like, this guy, Samoa Joe vibes, you know what I mean? Like, there's certain people that you look at and you're like, fuck, man, like this guy could fuck you up. And I'm so happy, as much as he's not your boy, Ethan Page, but
listen, no matter what I think about, and I was going to get to this, no matter my thoughts about Ethan Page as a professional or not, the North was one of the greatest tag teams of the last 5-6 years. I'm not going to take that away from them at all.
Great run,
and I'm not putting it all on Josh. Ethan Page helped out with that tag team. It was a 50-50 effort. I'm not going to take, just because I'm not a big fan of Ethan Page does not mean I'm going to take it away from them. The North were a great tag team.
So let me ask you this question then. When the North split up, did you think Josh was going to get lost in the shuffle and be fucked? I did.
I thought it was possible, but I had faith in Scott. Scott, I think Scott D'Amore, number 1, Scott D'Amore loves his Canadian boys.
Yeah, as we speak right now, they're all at the Toronto Blue Jays game. Josh Scott and Jade are all at the Blue Jays game.
I think Scott always saw potential in Josh, so I trusted that Scott wouldn't let that happen. I think that if Ethan stuck around, he would have got lost in the shuffle. And he kind of proved that with the whole Karate Man gimmick.
That was terrible.
Stuff.
And even if you look at him in AEW, he's been off TV. He's lost in the shuffle now. He had a great feud with Darby. They put him in there with Sting, but he's just another guy on that roster.
I don't know what Ethan needs to do to bounce back, because the guy definitely has a personality. He makes for a great heel.
Mhm.
So I don't know what Ethan needs to do to bounce back.
I
But
just think that there's better guys
Josh,
than him. I don't think it's
exactly.
anything against Ethan. I think that there's
Yeah,
just better guys in that company than him.
he is very generic. He is one of a thousand.
Look at a guy like MJF outshines him tenfold. You know what I mean?
Yes,
The elite, they're the heels now. Like there's too many other bigger names that are heels in that company.
he is 1 in 5, where Josh Alexander is 1 in 1,000,000.
Yeah, I agree with that. And what a great run he's having with the exhibition title. He's making that title special again. We both thought that he should be the guy that beat Kenny Omega for the belt too. And
we said I mentioned this on the live show last night that I honestly stopped caring about the X division in about 2007, 2008. Now Josh has really given me a reason to love that division again. No, we don't have Elix Skippers anymore. We do have Chris Sabins, but he's not really in that division. We don't have those AJ Styles, and we don't have those guys anymore. But
when it was Josh, Ace Austin, and TJP,
Rohit
they gave
Raju.
Me those feelings of Joe, Christopher Daniels, and AJ again.
Don't sleep on Rohit Raju either. Like he.
Yeah,
he
but
really
I mean, like, but they put those three together for a while, right? They were all married together. TJ, Ace Austin, and Josh, and they gave me that Joe Daniels and Styles feel again. Yeah. I just watched the Iron Man match a couple days ago between Josh and TJP. Holy shit, what a match! Like, yeah, absolutely. And I watched the match against him and Joe something, right?
Oh, that match with him and Joe something was fantastic. And let's be honest, man, I'm sure you can find it on YouTube or IWTV. Guys, go out of your way to go find any match, because he's fought him at least 6 times. Any match between Josh and friend of the show, Holden Elbert, because those two always put on hard-hitting matches. I was lucky enough to see the very first time I ever saw Holden was against Josh Alexander, and they beat the fuck out of each other. So if you can ever see them live, do so. They always put on a good show.
Well, let's
keep
it rolling, man. I'm ready on my number 1, so let's get to your number 2.
That brings to my number 2, man. Hey, I don't think you're going to be very surprised that my number 2 is the king, the god of this shit, Nick fucking Gage.
You know what? I am very surprised that this is your number 2. I thought this was going to be your number 1.
You thought Nick Gage is my favorite wrestler?
Yeah, I really did.
I'd love to say Nick Gage is my favorite wrestler, but I can't.
It would have been so funny if your number 1 was Nick Gage and mine was Kenny, because that's the fight that we have all the time.
Yeah. Nick Gage is one of my favorite performers in the world.
Hold on. I'm sorry, Mike, to cut you off here. Just to go back on a moment that we said a couple minutes ago when we were talking about Edge. I just saw this as I was going through some notes here. I don't know if you guys can see this picture. You can't see it.
We can't see that. No.
Stupid background, but it's the side-by-side picture of Edge's face on his return and CM Punk.
And CM Punk's, I saw that earlier.
Yeah. Like the emotions, right? And speaking of emotions, Nick Gage is a guy that brings out emotions, right?
He definitely brings out emotions. That's one of the things I love about him. People can shit him all you want. He's not a real wrestler. He just comes out and smashes light tubes. But watch what he actually does. The reaction he evokes from that crowd is unmatched. Nobody gets that reaction, man. Nobody. Yep. It's insane. He calls his fan group his gang, and you can see he believes it.
100%.
This is a man. You want to talk about living the gimmick? This man lives his gimmick. Nick Gage is not a fucking gimmick. He should get that old tattoo that Chris Candido used to have. No gimmicks needed, because that's Nick Gage in a fucking nutshell. Listen, Nick Gage is that fucked up. I will say this about robber.
Nick Gage. I'll say this about him. I'm not a big fan of the GCW or Nick Gage. Like, not that I just don't like the deathmatch style. Yeah, but I fucking respect the hell out of Nick Gage and what he's built for himself. The stuff he's done with Cardona, Jericho, Dark Side of the Ring, man. And so when I watched the Cardona match, because he finally hooked me to put on a GCW show, And I was just like, holy fuck, like his entrance, I've never seen it before. The
Oof.
people, like,
Yeah.
yeah, man. Nick Gage is something special.
And he couldn't have better music, man. For Whom the Bell Tolls fits him so well.
Absolutely. I love Metallica.
He is the modern day Sandman, but better.
And scarier.
And much scarier. Yeah. Yeah, not a whole lot more I can say about Gage, man. He had to be my number 2 because...
Well, I get it. I know who your number 1 is now. I know who your number 1 is now, and I've tipped the cap on mine. So I'll start with mine since I tipped the cap on it. Kenny Omega for me. This was a weird one for me because I'm not a big fan of his like character right now. Mm-hmm. But when he gets in the ring, I just think that there's nobody better than him. And that's what draws me for Kenny Omega. I love his pairing with Don Callis. I think that the Elite is getting a little bit too silly right now. Nick and Matt are doing, their fun little thing. I love Gallows and Anderson as I think they have the funniest podcast that's out there right now. But like when they're on air, I find that in ring they've been a little bit lazy lately. Their in ring work hasn't been great. It's been okay.
I have to agree. No,
it's been okay,
especially Gallows.
Yeah, it's not been
Gallows is sloppy, man.
But they're making a lot of like dick and jizz jokes now, and even like on air. And like I don't want to see that on air. I want to see that on your podcast. It's hilarious. You know what I mean? But on air, I'd like to see them tighten up a little bit more. But for me, Kenny, he hits home runs every time he's in the ring. Him and Callis are magical together. I really enjoyed his run in Impact Wrestling when they presented him a little bit more seriously than they do on AEW. But Kenny Omega is just...
Which is kind of funny if you think about that.
A little bit, right?
Because Impact is known for being very wild and out there and do weird things. And, people getting shot and characters have died and all this weird stuff has happened. Impact does not take themselves too seriously. AEW, on the other hand, you would think is the more serious product. So it's funny that Omega was taken more seriously in Impact.
But I like that Omega can do that also. He can do the silly shit and still make it credible. He can be the serious, leader of the Bullet Club and make it credible. He fights kids in Japan, and it's still, as much as I'm not a fan of that, the match is still fun. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just think he's the all-around performer. I don't think there's anybody better than him right now in the world at stepping inside the ring, except for maybe your number 1. Do you imagine those guys having a match?
You want to talk? We talked about dream matches a couple weeks ago. That's a dream match, right?
Lay it on, number 1.
My number 1 is the Octopus, Jonathan Gresham.
Yeah, him and Kenny, I think, are the best 2 in the world right now.
The more and more and more I think I thought about it throughout the list, because you put in the foundation as a whole, the more and more I'm glad I did it the way I did it.
Did you do it for The Rock?
It's nothing against the other 3. Jay Lethal is one of the greatest of all time. Okay. But he's not there right now.
What you said that I liked earlier too is how there's no leader in that group and how Lethal's really taken a back seat. That could lead to a great heel turn between either Gresham or Lethal.
It's kind of funny. Adam and I both called that before the foundation really got to where it is now. We called that in 2019 when they were just tagging.
Yeah.
And it just never and then it just never happened, right?
Who would you turn heel in that scenario?
Gresham.
Me too. I'm glad you said that.
In 2019, I would turn Gresham. Now it could really go either way, but I would still probably.
I'd go Gresham.
You go Gresham, yeah.
I would go Gresham.
Gresham would be a good heel.
I think Lethal's a more sympathetic babyface, and I think people would expect Lethal to be the guy to turn heel and be like, I should have been the leader of this group. Like, I think it's too predictable. I think you turn Gresham heel and let him feud with the foundation.
Gresham is currently 12-0 in pure title matches. He won the pure tournament late last year. He hasn't had a bad match. Every pure title match he's had so far has been on fucking point.
I really enjoyed his match with one of my honorable mentions, Mike Bennett. I'm a big Mike Bennett fan.
His match with Mike Bennett was fantastic. His match with Dak Draper was fantastic. His match just a couple of days ago with Rhett Titles was fantastic. The man just keeps having amazing pure title matches. And then, a couple of weeks ago, I can't remember if it was Dak Draper he fought earlier, and then later he had to go and fill in as a tag team champion.
Yeah.
Right. He just keeps going and going and going, and nothing can stop this guy. And I love it because he's the kind of guy that isn't supposed to make it.
100%.
The dude's like 5 foot.
Look.
He's 5 foot fuck all. Yes, he's built like a brick shit house, but he's 5 foot fuck all. He doesn't have the personality that would fly in WWE, let's say. He's very serious. He's very Benoit-ish in that, where he's straight business. But you ring that bell, and he doesn't need that style of personality. His personality comes out in the ring. You don't need to put a fucking mic in his hand. His personality, and that's not to say he can't cut a promo, because he fucking can.
Yeah.
He's cut some great promos for the foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's get to the actual presentation of him. Let's start with the entrance. That foundation music hits, which I love. I love Foundation's theme song. He comes out, he's got that octopus skull mask. He's got that, he's always rocking the Foundation flag. Very proud of the Foundation, very proud of being in ROH, very proud of the Pure division, and very proud of the Pure title. And it comes out in everything he does. I love that about him.
No, I agree with that, man. I agree.
And he is the standout of the Foundation right now.
He's one of the standouts in the business right now.
100%.
I think if I watched more Ring of Honor, he would have been an argument in my top 3 for sure.
If we were doing a woman's list right now, I'll tell you right now, I'm not sure that his wife wouldn't be my number 1 too.
She's fantastic as well.
Mm-hmm.
She's fantastic. So before we get into some honorable mentions, who was the hardest name for you to leave off the list?
Finn Balor.
Finn Balor?
Yeah.
Good call. My 2 that were the hardest were AJ Styles and Hangman Page.
Hangman Page is an honorable mention. It wasn't as hard for me to leave him off, only because I don't watch enough AEW.
No,
if I was more of an AEW loyalist, Adam Page would be on this list.
Yeah, he was the hardest one to leave off. And I have
anybody that I don't go out of my way to watch every week, I can't just throw on my list.
Yeah.
Everybody I mentioned, I go out of my way to make sure, even if I don't want to watch the full product like SmackDown or Impact, I make sure to, if I know Josh Alexander's on the TV that week, I make sure I watch his match.
Yeah.
If I know Roman Reigns is going to be doing something cool, I make sure to watch that shit.
Mm-hmm.
So with Adam Page, while I do really like everything I've seen, I'm not running out of my way to see it.
I like that cowboy shit, man.
Same thing with Finn Balor.
Yeah, Finn was.
I don't even know who Finn Balor's feuding with right now.
They were teasing him and Roman as well in the Cena mix.
Okay.
There were 3 other names that I had a hard time with, but because you told me I wasn't allowed to use inactive guys, CM Punk, Bryan Danielson, and then the one that I really want to put on my list, but he's technically inactive right now, is Cody. I love Cody. I know the internet fans shit on Cody. The guy knows how to draw emotion out of you as well, man. The match with Dustin, I don't like the stuff that he does where he takes the WWE shots. I think it's unnecessary, and it is a turnoff for me. But some of the promos that this guy's cut in that AEW ring, I would love everybody to take a minute, go on YouTube and find the promo that he cuts after his cage match with Wardlow. He was almost in tears. He's got that passed down from his father. He knows how to connect with an audience. I think it's really special.
Now that he's an active wrestler again, one of my honorable mentions is Samoa Joe.
Yeah, fantastic.
I love the little story. I had to get caught up on it. I didn't watch it as it was happening. I had to go and watch clips from the last several weeks of NXT to catch up on his story with Karrion Kross. But I really liked it. They had a great match last night, crowning Samoa Joe as new champion. And then they put Karrion Kross on TV today, looking like.
So,
Remember the Basham? Remember when the Basham brothers were doing that S&M gimmick?
yeah. I thought
Yeah,
he looked,
that's what Karrion Kross looks like now.
I thought he looked more like Lord Humongous when Sid was doing that.
Yeah. Oh my God. They should tag him up with Road Warrior Animal from 1981.
Oh shit. I've got a bunch of honorables here. I'm not going to go into detail why or anything. I'm just going to bang them out if you're all right with that, and then you want to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Where am I here? Johnny Gargano. Big fan of Johnny Gargano. More so of his babyface run than his heel stuff, but his stuff's still good. Kevin Owens. Big fan of Kevin Owens. Nakamura. Love Nakamura. He was a tough one too to leave off my list. The most underrated wrestler of all time, Roderick Strong, is on my list. Mike Bennett, we talked about. Where was my name here? Danhausen. Love what Danhausen's doing.
Danhausen was really hard to keep off my list as well.
He almost squawked on my list too.
Me
and
too. He was almost my number 7.
My last one, I love the work that they're doing. Violent by Design in Impact Wrestling. Eric Young, Diener, Rhino, Morrisley, and what's the big guy's name? I'm drawing a blank. Rob will yell at me later. Yeah. The All Japan guy. I love him. He's fucking great. Steve's, I don't know. I can't remember.
Well, you can go with Violent by Design. I'll go with Violence Unlimited. I love what they're doing.
Did I say the wrong name?
No. You said the right name.
Oh, sorry. You're doing the Ring of Honor one.
I'm doing the Ring of Honor. The Ring of Honor guys. Brody King, I think, is one of the best right now. His stablemate, Dirty Daddy, Chris Dickinson, Tony Deppen. These guys, they're the future of professional wrestling. I have no doubt of that. And I thought, Chris Dickinson and Tony Deppen.
Joe Doring.
Right.
Sorry.
There you go.
Joe Doring. Sorry.
Chris Dickinson and Tony Deppen, I've been following since their GCW days. They're going to be huge.
Yeah.
Brian Johnson's another name I could think of. Danhausen, you mentioned. The Bouncers are a very fun tag team. I haven't been a big fan of them since they went heel, but they were doing some really cool stuff. There's another name. I can't put him on the list. He's on my honorable mentions because I'm really interested to see where he's going to go and how high he can get again. Because unfortunately, WWE did him fucking dirty, and that's EC3.
Okay. Yeah.
I like what EC3 has been doing on the indies and in ROH.
Yeah, it's been pretty good. I've never been an EC3 guy, but
where's it going to go? I think I don't understand how Vince let an EC3 just fizzle.
Twice.
I look at him and I feel like he's the kind of guy Vince would love.
Yeah, Yeah.
And of course, I got to go with the ROH champion Bandito because he's a lot of fun.
Yeah, he's fantastic in the ring as well. Rey Mysterio too. I like Rey Mysterio.
What are you thinking about Dominic Mysterio right now?
I'm fine with him. I know a lot of people shit on him. He's still got some work to do. I think there's a great heel turn in him. I think I would love to see him and Rey. I would love to see him be the one that retires Rey and take Rey's mask in a mask match.
I love how people are so mad because he's entitled. He only has his job because he's who his dad is. Yeah.
So what?
What's wrong with that?
Have a cooler dad, everybody.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Guy's working his ass off, man.
That sounds like a little bit of jealousy.
Yeah. Deal with it. Work as hard as he does. Then.
I've never heard anybody else complain. Oh, that dude got a job at McDonald's because his dad's the manager.
Yeah, I've hired people based on who I know. You know what I mean? 100%. I've been hired based on people that I know. Like,
yes, 100%.
That's life. That's life. Yeah. Suck it up, internet warriors, you bunch of jabronis.
So yeah, that was a fun list, man. I like both our lists.
Yeah, me too.
And I knew I would because this is the kind of list like there's no wrong answers here.
No,
and everyone not. we talk about you and I are big fans of old school wrestling, and there's nothing wrong with that. But every once in a while, I think it's really important to really push the guys who are trying so hard to make wrestling relevant again.
Mhm.
Put them in the forefront.
Yeah.
Because I want to see if I still have this list. Wrestling is, it's not what it used to be, but it's at the same time, it's just so, there's so much of it, and like this
Wrestling's
could
awesome
be
right now.
this could be the best era of wrestling. Listen to this right now, okay? This is what we have as fans at the moment. Monday night, Ring of Honor, AEW Dark Elevation, and Monday Night Raw. Tuesday, NXT, AEW Dark, and NWA Power. Wednesday, AEW Dynamite, MLW, and WWE Main Event. Thursday, NXT UK, Impact. Friday, SmackDown, AEW Rampage, and 205 Live. Multiple shows.
Yeah, New Japan Strong's in there somewhere as well. I think they do Friday.
Exactly.
Right? And we didn't even talk
now,
about New Japan and AAA, and you know what I mean? Middle Kingdom Wrestling.
No.
China's doing a great job.
We're only be able to talk about the stuff that you and I have time to watch. There's so much more wrestling out there. So
yeah, that's why I like this.
Don't give me all this shit about fucking, wrestling sucks right now. If you don't like the program you're watching, find a different program, because there is good wrestling out there. There's great wrestling out there.
100%.
This is a great time to be a fan.
That's why I love this list so much.
These kids don't understand what it was like guys like us. When I'm 12 to 14 14, 15 years old, I was lucky to get WWE Raw on replay on Tuesday afternoons.
Yep.
And Nitro.
Sometimes you could find WCW Saturday night randomly. Yeah,
that's what we were getting. And earlier than that, at my youngest age, like if you're bringing up a kid in wrestling right now, he's got everything at his fucking fingertips.
Wait till Saturday mornings.
I for Canadian Challenge.
Yeah, we get superstars too.
Yeah. So don't give me this shit. This is a great time to be a wrestling fan. Yeah. Enjoy it.
You know what? But
between you and I, we just mentioned.
Well, I was going to say, don't sit back and listen to this list and bitch about it because your favorite wrestler wasn't on there. Maybe take a minute and look up some of these guys if you haven't been watching them, and send us some feedback of who you think should have been on the list, and we'll look them up too.
Exactly.
I'm always open to see new guys.
And I don't care who you are. If you're a WWE fan and you love fucking Jey Uso, and tell us. If you're an indie mark that only loves James Vandercock from fucking MLX from Ohio, tell us about him too. We're gonna fucking check him out. Yeah, wrestling is amazing right now.
We both missed a big honorable mention, eh?
Who's that?
The man Rory Fox, baby, and Mad Dog Connor. Let's go.
We don't want to piss off Rory, man. I heard he's always angry.
Always angry, baby. So that's our list this week. What do you think, Mike? Should we throw a bonus in there, and I'll put the Bret Hart list after this?
Yeah, throw her on there for anybody who
enjoy me being drunk. Enjoy wrestling, everybody.
Enjoy Adam presenting
my list.
An amazing match from. I'm not even gonna tell you what the match is. The number 7 on Tyler's list is presented to you by Adam going down in the
most of my list is actually
ever.
Presented by Adam, from what I remember. So sit back and enjoy wrestling, enjoy the Bret Hart list, and enjoy Mike taking us home.
And
and do our plugs, countout7.com, all that shit.
I think you just did.
Oh, okay. And Barry Wrestling and whatever. Look us up and like us, assholes. I'm tired.
Make sure to check out countout7.com. I work hard on that thing, so use it.
Yeah, it's good too.
On behalf of wrestling fans, on behalf of professional wrestling, it's good. Try it. You don't have to hate it. Try liking it. It's fun. We've been counted out.
Cheers. What do you guys think? You want to get into this? You want to get into the top 7 Bret Hart matches?
Please. I have been dying to talk about this match for the last hour.
All right.
I'm killing myself out to figure out what your number 7 is. What could your number 7 be that he thinks is your number 1?
Well, since you were
no, it's my number 1.
Party tonight.
My number 1.
My guess is 1997.
You are incorrect. Adam,
Okay.
why don't you tell Mike what my number 7 is?
Tyler's number 7, easily my number 1. My favorite Bret Hart SummerSlam match of all time. Bret Hart versus Doink the Clown / Jerry the King Lawler from 1993. And Mike's laughing right now, but I am 100% serious. I think that this match is a forgotten masterpiece of storytelling. Anything you could possibly want, this match has. So you want your spectacle and shenanigans. You bring out Jerry Lawler hobbling around on crutches, talking about how some little blue-haired old lady cut him off in traffic, caused a 20-car pileup. You got Bobby Heenan on commentary talking about how Jerry Lawler pulled himself from the fiery wreckage to save a busload of kids on the way to the arena. So you have all these shenanigans, then you bring out Doink the Clown. So you've already got your heat building with this thing because the fans don't get to see Bret get their hands on Lawler, who they know he's going to kill and murder. Doink gets in there, and him and Bret have a wrestling clinic. Everybody remembers the gimmick, but nobody remembers that the original Doink the Clown, Matt Bourne, was a hell of a wrestler.
Yeah, right.
And he showed it here on this night with Bret Hart. So you've got your shenanigans, you've got your wrestling. You also get Bruce Hart involved, which automatically pulls it up by a half star at least. You've got your family, you've got your drama in there. Lawler comes in with the crutch. I'm getting all excited and flustered here. He hits Bret with the crutch, and suddenly we're pissed. Again, more heat. This heat is now at boiling. This heat is at Tyler versus Mike levels of heat right now for this match. And we all think we just got screwed again by that no-good Jerry Lawler and his court jester Doink. Suddenly, Jack Tunney comes out. Good old Canadian boy, Jack Tunney. He understands justice. So he comes out there and he says, Jerry Lawler, you have to wrestle Bret Hart. We're not waiting any longer, and if you don't, you're going to be banned. So Bret bumps Lawler around. He does his complete Memphis shtick, which you know I'm a big fan of. So I love the Memphis stuff. So he puts all this heat on him, and then one of the best finishes ever. Bret gets in that sharpshooter, and he wins the match, and everyone's going crazy. And then Bret Hart hates Jerry Lawler so damn much that he refuses to let go of the sharpshooter, and he won't let it go. And they finally have to get Owen and Bruce in there to try and reason with Bret, and finally he lets it go, and everybody's happy. And then they announce that the referee has reversed the decision, and Jerry Lawler actually won the match, and Jerry Lawler gets carted out on a stretcher with one finger in the air of defiance. Oh my God, you want to talk about human drama? This match was 100% human drama with some great wrestling put in the middle. If this was an analogy, I'd use a sandwich. You've got the most delicious piece of sourdough bread shenanigans at the beginning of the match. You've got a nice, rich, meaty patty of Doink the Clown, which you can take any way you want. And then you've got your final layer of sourdough drama with that finish and incredible heat ending. Oh my God. This is one of my favorite matches of all time. And I was trying to argue with my friends earlier about how, like, SummerSlam is a great card. It just has a really crappy main event. And then I went through all the card and I kind of realized it's really, like 70-40, pretty terrible. But you know what? The stuff that's in there is really, really great. So if you only watch about half of SummerSlam 93, it's one of the best SummerSlams ever. But this match is one of the reasons I put it up there. It's just nonstop human drama. And I'm sorry I kind of took over this whole one, but this was the only one I wanted to talk about because it's such a good match and it never gets the love it deserves. And here I am to love all over it. So there it is. I've spilled myself all over this match now, so you guys can now have the wet, sloppy remains.
Because of you, it's my number one now.
That's right.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Counting Out's live
That's it.
SummerSlam show.
No need for any other matches. No need for any matches. I just proved why it's spot 7 through 1.
I do have 2 points I want to add to this, though.
Please do.
The 2 shoot elements to this whole match are fantastic, where they fucking rip Bruce Hart by actually throwing the bucket of water on him.
Oh, so good.
Which I thought was really funny, and he was
He was fired up because they told him it was going to be confetti. That's funny shit. And Bret was pissed at Jerry, and he locked that sharpshooter in because Jerry stiffed him at King of the Ring, and he stiffed him again with those crutch shots at SummerSlam. And Bret really fucking cinched that thing in and fucked Lawler up, which I thought very funny stuff.
It's real, man. That's what I'm telling you. And that realness came through. You felt it.
And I thought the finish was great because it made them both.
It is great.
It made them both better after because Lawler got carted out on the stretcher with his hand up, like I'm the champion, and Bret just looked like a monster.
Like such a Memphis match, but that's like I know people. I know people shit on Memphis wrestling all the time, but let me tell you, when Memphis was great, goddamn, it's the best. Great. And I think that match is a great example of how you can make a Memphis match mainstream and it works. And fuck, does it ever work? At least on guys like me.
So, Mike, do you have anything to add to that? Or should we just move on to number 6?
Man, I'm not sure I've seen this match since '93. I am so excited. I might even skip NXT to go rewatch this match.
The heat of the crowd alone.
You guys have me so fired up to watch this match now. I am
so good.
I got watch it again.
I have not seen this match in so many years.
As I'm telling you, man, it gets buried by Lex and Yoko because everyone hears SummerSlam '93 and they're like, yeah, I don't want to watch that, and then they miss out on those masterpieces. Like I said, this is a forgotten masterpiece. It's so good. Honestly, it's easily in my top 5 of SummerSlam matches. It's in my top 5 Bret Hart matches. I fucking love this match.
And the crowd heat is fantastic because they want to see Lawler get it.
So good. Can't beat it.
So now I have to move on to my number 6. Fuck.
It's all right. I'm gonna go get a cigarette. I'm fine.
All right. Well, let me move on to my number 6, and I think the controversy is going to begin right now. My number 6, we're going to 1997, Bret Hart versus The Undertaker.
See, you and I have been talking offline for several weeks while you've been making this list. I wasn't even sure this was going to make your list. You had some issues with this match, didn't you?
I wouldn't say issues. This is one of my favorite angles of all time.
Mind you, I love this match, and this probably would have been closer to my number 4. But I can't be surprised that this is your number 6 because I know you were fighting with it even on your list. So what was your struggle with this match?
This match started actually as my number 4, and you know the struggle, Mike. You have this. When we make our list ideas, we have something in our mind what we think it's going to be.
Yeah.
Then we go back and we watch it again for the first time in 10, 20, sometimes 30, 40 years, depending on the list, right? If we're talking about greatest angles of all time, I don't think this would have a question about being my number 1. As far as from the in-ring standpoint went, great match. I will not say a bad thing about it. Shawn was a big part of it, but they've had better matches. Their match at One Night Only a couple months later, far superior to this match. The stipulations were a little much for me, and I just think if you look at Bret's body of work over SummerSlam, the rest of the matches were better than this one.
Remind me the stipulation. So if Bret lost, he would never wrestle in the United States again?
Yeah, and if Shawn showed any bias towards The Undertaker,
he would never wrestle in the United States again.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that's right.
As much as the match it was a good match, a little more slower pace than you're used to seeing in a WWE, WWF main event. I think that Taker and Bret have had many better matches. The Rumble 96 match was really good. Like I said, the One Night Only match blew this one out of the water. From a storyline standpoint, watching Bret Hart in this Canada angle hoist the title, it's one of my favorite wrestling moments of all time. But from an actual match standpoint, this one was just okay. It wasn't spectacular. It was just a good match, but it didn't blow me away. It's just a great wrestling match.
Yeah, I think myself included, I think most people remember the finish more than remember the match.
Absolutely.
They remember the spit. They remember the chair shot. They remember, the especially the night after. There's so much to remember about that. But do you remember the actual match before that chair shot.
I
'Cause
remember
I
coming
don't
home
really.
to Toronto at the airport and holding the
Mhm.
belt up.
Yeah.
The match itself, it was just a good match, you know?
All right. I get it.
Adam, what do you think? Is this a fair place on my list?
Yeah, obviously, if it were my list, it'd be number 7. But other than that, I agree wholeheartedly. I'll keep it short and sweet because I ranted so much on the last one. I agree with everything you guys said. The angle is better than the match, but it's still a good match, just not a great one.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Now, my number 5, people rave about this match. Like it's one of the best matches of all time, and to me, I think it's one of the most overrated matches of all time. And it's still a great match. And again, I'm not going to shit on this match, but I'm going to 1994 in the cage versus Owen Hart.
This is exactly where this match needs to be.
Thank you.
I agree with the placement on this one as well. And I also agree that I think that for Bret Hart fans and Owen Hart fans, they love this match. And I think it's because it's Bret and Owen, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you love it, you love it. But Owen and Bret have had better matches. There have been better cage matches. And Bret has had better matches at SummerSlam, quite frankly. Is it an intense stampede-style wrestling match inside of a steel cage? Yes. Is it a good finish? Yes. Yeah. But I agree. I find this match does not hold my attention the way other matches that I assume are coming on this list. So I think it's unique because you've got Bret in a cage, which you didn't often get back in those days. So it's fun for that novelty. And of course you're working, and again, we're talking about matches here where the angles overshadow the matches completely. I would have to put the Owen and Bret saga versus this match on that same category.
Yeah. Great
angle, easily the best one of the year, but the blow off to it, not exactly, didn't set the world on fire. So I agree with you. I honestly think 100% this match is in the right spot. For me personally, you and I are on the same track.
Mike, I'm intrigued by your facial expressions. What are you thinking right now?
I'm in agreement with both of you, to be perfectly honest, because I do love this match, but you make very good points of where it stands in comparison to both cage matches and Bret and Owen matches. My facial expressions were basically because this isn't the match I thought you were talking about, and if it was any of the matches I thought you were talking about, I was going to turn off my feed here when you started talking about one of the greatest matches of all time, but I think it was just okay. I didn't think of this match right away. I thought of a couple others, so I got a little.
Yeah,
I got a little nervous.
Let's, for fun, Mike, what did you think he was talking about? And I'll tell you what I thought he was talking about.
Mr. Perfect.
That's exactly what I thought he was talking about, too.
I thought...
Tyler, you dodged a bullet, sir.
I thought that Mike farted and it went wrong on him, and it turned into a shark. First,
I mean...
Listen, we're talking about Owen Bret, not Owen Isaac Yankem, okay?
Sorry,
no farts in this conversation. No stinkers here.
So for me, here's my take on why this is placed on my number 5. I love this match. I think it's great, but I don't like cage matches where the objective of the goal is to run out of the cage.
See, and I'm the exact opposite.
If you're
I fucking hate pinfalls in cage matches.
If you're in a cage match show, you should be in there so you can't get out and so nobody can get in. I think of Magnum and Tully always.
Then I get you, but to me, I think that's why WWE created the Hell in the Cell. Where a cage match, to me, I like the only way to win is to escape that cage. You need to get away from your opponent.
But to me, that takes away from a blood feud, man. If you're in a hardcore rivalry right now, and Bret and Owen at this point were, why do you want the objective to be to run away from each other? Like, there should be no escape.
If I may interject here again, I think that context is important to this, and I think, to quote Archer, phrasing is important here, because when you position it as you have to escape the cage, and I think this is WWE's bad, because they're always positioning it as you need to escape the cage. But that's really not the concept of a steel cage match. The concept of the steel cage, where there's no pinfall or submission, is that you beat your opponent so bad
Yes.
that they cannot leave,
And
that
then
you are able to walk out and they are not.
Exactly.
The idea behind it is not supposed to be, look, anybody can get lucky on a 3 count. I can punish you so bad that you tap out. But if you and I are locked in that cage, you can't go anywhere, I can't go anywhere. You and I'm going to beat you so bad you can't walk out of that. And I think that concept has been watered down over the years.
I agree with that. I agree with that statement 100%, Adam. And I was going to make the exact same point. And I think, and one of the things I like about that concept is it works on so many levels with so many different kinds of characters. You got your strict babyface who you want to see him beat his opponent so bad that the babyface can leave triumphantly. Your chicken shit heel can do can try to escape and you know, oh, he can't catch me because I'm too fucking fast, and tries to get out. Your monster heel can decimate his opponent and then just fucking leave. You know, it works on so many different levels. I like the escape factor of cages. I always have. So that's not to say that your concept, Tyler, doesn't work. I like that concept in War Games. I like that concept in Hell in the Cell.
Let me play devil's advocate here then, boys.
Yes.
The entire match that these guys had, they ran away from each other. They didn't do that. The whole match was built around Owen trying to escape, Bret trying to escape. It was counter after counter.
Yeah, no, and that's why I think it's placed perfectly here because of that factor. It wasn't the perfect cage match.
All right.
Yeah.
And I blame the booking of Bret.
They didn't build that match around
Owen
I
running
beat
away.
The fuck out of you. They built it
Owen
around
running away
I'm gonna
makes
get the
sense
fuck
to me.
away from you.
See, Owen, the way Owen was playing that character at the time, it makes sense to me. If he was able to run away, get out, he was like, "Look at me! I did it! I beat him again." Bret should have just wanted to beat the fuck out of Owen.
If I may play devil's advocate and counter, may I propose that the psychology or the story they were telling in this match is that Owen knows he cannot beat Bret. So his only goal is to desperately get out of that cage so that he can win. Bret's goal is not to punish Owen because, let's face it, he's still the good guy. That's still his brother. But he knows that winning would destroy Owen worse than any beating that he could give Owen. Okay. So Bret says, I don't want to punish my brother physically. I just want to beat him. If I win against Owen again, no matter what, I've won, and that will hurt Owen far more than any bloody beating that I could give him. Plus, you know, he doesn't want to disappoint his mother. Good Canadian boy. So he's like, I don't want to beat Owen. I just want to beat Owen because that will hurt him more than any physical beating.
Can I devil on top of your devils, on top of my devils?
Oh, God, triple devil's advocate. Oh, no.
Owen.
I don't know if I can handle it.
Owen. I think I've seen that on Pornhub once.
What a treat. What do you think I'm going after this?
No, the Pornhub stuff happened back at number 7, Mike.
Okay, on top of your point, Owen beat Bret at WrestleMania 10.
Touche, sir. Touche. So, but he's not the champion.
He's not, but he beat him. So he thinks he can beat him again.
So if I can add a demon to my devil, not a full-on point, but a little A2, a Finn Balor demon on top of that point. Perhaps the idea is maybe not necessarily I need to beat Owen, but if I can walk away as champion still, I don't need to pound him into submission. I just need to walk out with that belt, and that hurts Owen more 100%. Than actually hurting him.
All right.
But that being said, match is still not great. Move on.
You know, it's funny. We're all talking about the same thing here. We all agree that this is in the right spot, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it's just different perspectives.
On top of all those devils, let's put an angel on the shoulder and and let's move on to your number 4.
My number 4, we're going to some of my favorite stuff on the planet. We're going to talk about some tag team wrestling, boys. We're going back to 1999, 2 out of 3 falls, Demolition versus the Hart Foundation.
Yeah. Yeah, come on. Like, I mean, this is a fantastic match. SummerSlam 1990 was a weird time because on one hand, it felt like Bret was heading towards his singles trajectory, and suddenly they were just like, nah, let's just put the belts back on him and Jim. Not that we had a problem with that. It also felt really weird because it also felt like they were really building towards LOD demolition, and they were like, nah, let's put the belts on Bret and Jim. And again, not mad about it. And correct me if I'm wrong, this is Crush and Smash.
Yes.
This is not Axe and
Axe
Smash.
did the run-in and switched out in between falls.
Yeah.
Right. But the majority of the work was carried by Crush on this one
Crush
with
and
Smash.
is the
Crush and
majority of
Smash.
the work, yeah.
Yeah.
Not sure
This is
anybody
just
has
good.
ever used that sentence before.
Right, exactly. Like you said, Tyler, it's classic tag team wrestling. And 2 out of 3 fall style. These guys know how to tell a story. And I think it all comes back to the 3 most experienced men in that match. Bryan Adams is a great wrestler there, but he was still kind of very green at this point. But he followed those guys perfectly. He followed their leads, and he did not seem out of place in there, which is really saying something. And when you're talking about a really great, there was a lot of good stuff on SummerSlam 1990. This is easily, I think, the best match on that show. And these guys had not just a great match, but a fun match. You got invested into it. You really cared about what happened here. And you had a real feel-good ending for this. Not as feel-good, I think, as some of the other matches you're going to mention on here. But at the end of this match, you want to sit back and just go, God damn, that was fun. That was a really damn fun match.
They were due at this point. A lot of people forget that the Hart Foundation were only 2-time world champions. This was their only babyface run as the champions, right? They turned babyface in 1988, and they didn't put the belts on them until 1990.
Again, I think a lot of that had to do with, in the years leading up to it, I think there was a lot of back and forth on whether or not to push Bret as a single or to keep him with Jim. And I think that this just proved it doesn't matter what you do with Bret Hart. He's going to give you the best match, whether he's with in a tag team match or whether he's on his own. Mike, you must have some fond memories of this matchup.
Not that you guys haven't hit. Again, this is one of them that I haven't watched in a long time, but I do. You already mentioned it, Tyler, but one of the things that stands out to me was the run in by Axe. I remember as a kid being so mad at that spot.
Me too.
He can't do that. He can't do that.
Your boy Piper,
dirty rotten cheater.
Your boy Piper was great on commentary.
Oh, was he ever? I again, I have to go back and rewatch it, but my memories of it. Yeah.
You know what?
If you're
I have a feeling that Axe
rewatch this one before '93 Lawler, because Adam, I don't want to shit on your love for this match, but
no, you got to save Lawler for the main event. That's what I'm saying.
This match was so good. This is one of my favorite matches ever, man. Like, the crowd was into it. Stipulation was great. These guys all played their part perfect. This almost became my number 3. It just couldn't, but it was this close.
Yeah. Gentlemen, I got to let you continue with the list for a minute. I have to make a very quick phone call, and I will return.
All right. Well, we'll move on to number 2 then. Or number 3.
Two men remain.
Number 3, sorry.
Two devils remain. 3 spots to go.
That's it. Well,
I'm also talking about the advocate, right? Behind me, right? 2 devils and an advocate. Got to throw it in there. All right, what's number 3?
Number 3, one of my favorite matches of all time. And I'm a tag team guy. We're going to 1989, the Brainbusters versus the Hart Foundation. I think the most underrated wrestling match of all time.
I mean, it's got to be in that conversation. And, of course, speaking of conversations, you have talked about this match to death on these shows, and I know this because I listen every single week.
You're one of the only guys still doing it, because our numbers.
And I can tell, well, that's because you let, jabronis like me here on live events like this, and they're like, people are getting a taste of it, and they're like, if this is what this show is, I'm paying attention to this. Guy sitting here, having come to Jesus moments over Jerry Lawler and throwing his hat down. I don't want to hear what this guy has to say.
On air after it.
If we could really just lower our numbers, that's really what we're looking for. Honestly, you're right. This is an incredible example of exquisite tag team wrestling. And as much as the Demolition 2 out of 3 Falls match was, I think, a fun match that was built on clear-cut good guy, bad guy, heat and shine. I think this match that you're talking about now against the Busters is more about a build on who is honestly the best team, who are the best wrestlers. And that's what I think you get from this match, 100%.
So the big thing that I take away from this match, and it's a little thing that nobody really picks up on, is when this match started, this was not supposed to be a tag team title match.
No.
The Brainbusters were not even the champions going into this match. They had won the titles from Demolition leading into this, right? Jesse Ventura says a line here. Mike, number 3, Brainbusters versus Heart Foundation. That's
Number 3, yeah, perfect spot for it.
Right?
Perfect spot. Yeah.
So what my point here is the Busters, this is a non-title match. And Jesse Ventura, as the Busters are making their entrance, are going, if the Heart Foundation lose this match, they are not going to see a title match for a long time. Do you know when the next time they saw that title match was? SummerSlam 1990. Right? Big deal here. How cool is it to see Bret Hart and Tully Blanchard inside the ring together, throwing bombs against each other?
Absolutely.
How cool is it to see these guys, Arn Anderson, and
not to mention, Tully Blanchard probably was bombed during the match too.
100%, right? The Brainbusters put on a clinic how to be a heel tag team here, taking powders on the outside. Jesse Ventura defending them for not putting the tag titles on the line, cheating to win, double team moves, right? The Heart Foundation looks strong in defeat. This is your classic babyface versus heel team match. And the ramification of the loss actually meant something.
Absolutely. It really was as good as it gets when it comes to tag team wrestling in the WWF. And how appropriate is it that it would kind of close out the 1980s? And we really wouldn't see that kind of resurgence in terms of like tag team matches that stole the show probably until the 90s, late 90s, about that point in time. So, a very appropriate match. I think I'd still maybe put the demos ahead, but that's just because I love Demolition.
Yeah.
So it's just a personal preference on that point. That's it. And I get it on 100%, but I ain't mad at this spot. It's a great spot for it. I mean, I think we all know what 2 and 1 are going to be. I think we knew 2 and 1 were going to be when we entered into this thing. But as far as a runner-up,
you gave me a scare for a minute about your.
as far as the true runner-up goes, it's not a bad choice at all, as far as I'm concerned.
But Mike, I'm going to put you on blast right now, okay?
Okay.
I've talked about this match since we started this podcast. Adam's mentioned that. When's the last time you actually watched this match? 1989? When you were 40?
When I was 40, you're a piece of shit. I was 8 in 1989. Thank you very much.
I was 5.
No, definitely not 1989, but probably like 1999.
You agree with my placement on this one?
Yeah, I do. From my memories of the match, I mean, just on fucking paper, 4 of the best, wrestlers of the era, 2 of the greatest tag teams of the era, bar maybe of all time. It's kind of a no-brainer. Even if you haven't watched the match in a long time, if you've seen the match once, you know it's a phenomenal match.
Absolutely.
And I think that really speaks to it, the fact that it's a match you can watch once and remember it decades later.
Yeah.
If it makes that much of an impact.
And there's not a whole matches you can say that. And this happens to Tyler on a regular basis doing our lists. You have memories of a certain match, and you go back to it going, oh, that's not how I remember it. I have no doubt in my mind I can go back and watch that match from 1989, and it's going to be just as good as I remember it being all those years ago.
And it is. And I wish it could be a number 1, but it can't. It can't.
Of course not. Because the other 2 matches that you have to talk about, I have watched in the last 20 years, 30 years, and multiple times because they're that fucking good.
So Mike, let's turn to you here. My number 2, what is it?
Mr. Perfect.
Adam?
Yeah, I think so.
Absolutely. Number 2, SummerSlam 91, Bret Hart versus Mr. Perfect.
Yeah.
And I think that's the right call.
Me too.
I went back and forth on this for about 6 minutes, and I was like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
You know what I
I
mean?
can understand why because I probably would have went back and forth as well, but it would have been one of those because it's so good.
So,
But
hold on.
you know that the other one deserves to be number one.
Let me ask you. So, I have my reasoning why I went back and forth on it. Was that your reasoning because the match was so good, Mike?
Why it's the number 2 spot?
Yeah, but you said
Or
you
why
went
it's
back and
not the
forth
number
as
1
well.
spot.
Yeah, because I went back and forth on it. I really seriously considered it. What was your reasoning?
The only reason Mr. Perfect and Bret Hart are not number 1 is because the number 1 match is just a tad better.
Okay, Adam, what do you think?
It's nothing about the Mr. Perfect match because there's nothing wrong with that Mr. Perfect match. Nothing.
You agree with that, Adam?
Yes. Yes, and if I may steal a phrase. Yes, and I will say that the reason I would put this at the number 2 spot over the number 1 match is a couple of things. Number 1, I always forget how short this match is.
Mm-hmm.
This match feels like it ends just as it's getting started.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of that's the fact that Kurt Hennig was hurt, but to me, you wanted to see what everything this match could have been. You got to fast forward to 2 years later to the most underrated year in professional wrestling, as we've established,
Right.
1993, and watch their fight at King of the Ring, because that's everything this match could have been. Now, that being said, in terms of Bret's history, it's obviously incredibly important. It was the match that showed people that not only do the fans believe in Bret, that he can be a single star, but the WWF believes in Bret, that he can be a single star. And the reaction that he received in the Garden that night was clear proof of that. You also have the emotional aspect of having his family in the audience, Bret celebrating with his dad. This match is great. It's fun. It's really good. It's fast paced. Honestly, I think that if I would have to give any reason why it doesn't get the number 1 spot, that's it. The number 1 match, if it is what we all know it is, worst kept secret since CM Punk on Friday. This match did not get the time it needed, whereas the number 1 spot did. And Bret versus Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect, is an incredible match for the 10 minutes or so that it got. But unfortunately, it was an appetizer when you wanted an entree. And that, to me, is the only reason why I would put it at the number 2 as opposed to the number 1. It was a perfect filet mignon steak, but what you really needed was something the size of a T-bone.
I like it. My big debate on it was this match is what catapulted Bret into a single star. So the historical significance of it really made me fight between this match and obviously number 1. But my number 1 is what solidified Bret Hart as a main eventer. And that's what really beat it.
Absolutely. It's so funny that you say that, because one of the things I was going to say was this was the match that made Bret a star. And then I had to think about that for a second and say, no, it was the other match. The other match is what made Bret a star. This one made him, it put him on the map. The other match put him into the stratosphere.
This match, I agree with you, Adam. 93 King of the Ring blows this match out of the water. And the promo before that match, and my dad could beat your dad up, the best. Right?
100%.
But this match made Bret Hart a single star. You have that moment where he hugs Stu in the crowd after, which is beautiful. And I will throw a plug to www.countout7.com right now. If you listen to our interview with Lenny Leonard, he has a great story that Mike got out of him about that night in Madison Square Garden. That we'll just leave it at that. Go tune it in.
Yeah, go. It's a great story, and Lenny, let's take a second here, Tyler. How good of a storyteller was Lenny Leonard?
I didn't have to do anything. That's my favorite.
Yeah.
It's like having Adam on. I didn't have to do anything for my list today. Adam killed it. I loved it.
Yeah, Letty sure as hell knows how to spin a yarn, and he told some great stories during our interview. And one of my favorite stories was the Stu Hart story.
Yeah.
So yeah, go check that out.
Adam, the biggest compliment I'll give you right now is you're a Lenny Leonard light tonight, and that is a compliment. That is a compliment.
I'll take it.
Because Lenny,
I will
I
take
don't know
it.
if you've listened to the interview yet, but Lenny told some bangers.
I have been compared to far worse in the wrestling industry, so I will take it as a compliment.
They're
Thank
called
you.
worse by better, right?
100%.
All right.
And hey, speaking of better, let's talk about the one match from Bret Hart's SummerSlam catalog that's better than Mr. Perfect in 1991.
You know, you brought up the fact that this solidified him as a main eventer.
Yeah.
How many people can go and lose a match in front of a crowd that big and walk away a bigger star?
Well, I mean,
Bret
like
fucking Hart.
Demolition versus the Hart Foundation in '88 was pretty spectacular, guys.
He's had a few too many, Mike. It's okay. We know what he meant.
Yes.
We know what he meant.
Did I say Demolition? I meant to say the British Bulldog. And
You meant to say the Brain Busters, and you meant to say 1989, not 1988.
Well, I mean, Demolition the Hart Foundation, great honorable mention in '88. But let's be real here. Let's call it.
Mike, we gotta wrap this up.
Mike, take me home. Take me home. I've had 9 drinks on an empty stomach. I'm good.
What exactly what are you drinking tonight? Cottage Springs?
I'm drinking both. I got a garbage can full of empty drinks here, and I've been drinking the Moscow.
Tyler, if I didn't know any better, I would say you were drinking like an Englishman. And hey, speaking of Englishmen,
Oh, I get it because we're about
So I
to-
guess you could say that Tyler's going to get drunk whether he likes to or not.
How does this tie in with Isaac Yankem, guys? I don't get it.
Holy fuck.
Oh wait, sorry.
because getting to this number one spot has been pulling teeth with you. That's why.
Fantastic. I just listened to him on the Briscoe and Bradshaw podcast, by the way. Fantastic interview. Fantastic. He's
I'm
so
sure.
good. And if you don't listen to that podcast, it's the only podcast that might be better than our podcast. Maybe, because they had Midian on there last week talking about doing LSD with the Road Dog and throwing up all over the Undertaker's big screen TV. And Taker got up to play golf and was like, if this doesn't look the exact same way it looked before, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. But yes, 1992 British Bulldog Bret Hart, obviously. Number one with a bullet.
And that's it, folks. Good night.
Yeah.
So,
You might be cut off from the next couple shows.
I mean, this is
So-
what happens when you leave me alone for an hour, Mike. I lose my mind.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think there was. I mean, you definitely could make the argument that some people probably were listening there saying Mr. Perfect was going to be the obvious number one. Of course, if it was me, it'd be Lawler, but I get it. This match obviously was a pivotal point for everybody involved. I think it's easy to say it was the biggest moment in the British Bulldog's career. And like we've stated a bunch of times already, this was the match that catapulted Bret into the main event status. This showed him that I can carry a match, I can have the crowd eat out of the palm of my hand exactly how I want them to. And I can do it with anybody, even a completely fooked 300-pounder
Yeah.
like Davey Boy Smith. And I think this goes to show...
For a mid-card title,
Yeah.
and he lost.
That old adage of it's not the belt that makes the man, it's the man that makes the belt.
Yeah.
Bret Hart and the British Bulldog made 80,000 people care more about the Intercontinental title than the Ultimate Warrior
Mhm.
and Randy Savage for the World Championship.
Exactly.
That says a million things right there. And you know what? Since I enjoy a good podcast where the snake eats its own tail, I'm going to bring this back to when I first jumped on here and say, this is what we're talking about when we talk about a guy like Josh Alexander. Josh Alexander could be this generation's Bret Hart if he can make it to that next level, because he is a guy that goes out there and has the matches that everybody's talking about and makes whatever title he's wrestling for, whatever match he's involved in, the most important match on the show. And that's what this was about. This was about Vince saying to Bret and to Bulldog, here's your chance. Here's your shot. Do it. And Bret does it. And not only does he do it and make the match passable, but he makes it a clinic. Where we talked before about how Stampede Wrestling didn't work in a WWF cage match because they weren't getting across the story they were trying to tell, this was the exact opposite of that. This was Stampede Wrestling done at the highest level possible, and everybody watching at home, on pay-per-view, 20 years later,
Yeah.
still understood what they were talking about without saying a word.